You know what I notice is every time I try to have positive thoughts and I try to think something positive about myself or a situation, which honestly, there's nothing positive about the situation that we find ourselves in. But whenever I try to think something positive, there's this instantaneous negative energy that I feel. That's how I know that I'm being targeted. That's how I know there's a demiurge or there's some evil interdimensional beings that are targeting certain people that have the divine spark and have the capacity to understand this world and have the understanding to see that we live in an evil world, and it's filled with deceivers, it's filled with manipulators, and it's filled with people that are just parasites to your negative parasites to your energy, and they cause you to produce negative energetic manifestational frequencies. But one thing I notice is that every time you try to better yourself or better your life, there's always something that comes to it that kind of takes you down a notch. So let's say you do get a job or whatever. Finally, let's say you were neat for 5 or 7 years. You were neat. You finally get a job. Within a job, but there's a catch. There's a catch. There's always a catch to it. So you don't. So now you don't have to worry about your parents talking about you, your family talking about you, and everybody talking about you. Oh, you don't have a job. You're a loser. You're a failure. He don't work a job. Oh, have you found the job yet? You need to find a job. Blah blah blah. Like you don't have to hear that no more. But now you have to wake up early in the morning. You have to catch the bus multiple times just to come there, get crapped on by a boss, be around people who you don't like. You may be put in a situation where it's not even in your job description. Your job description, you may be forced to do something else, and it's like that's not what I signed up for. But they're the ones handing out the paychecks, so they're going to tell you what to do. Whoever hands out your paycheck can tell you to do almost anything. You know, as long as it's within the legal bounds of the law. So they tell you to sweep the floor. Well, it's a job. You sweep the floor. They tell you that you got to be on customer service. You got to do that. You got to be on cashier. You got to do that. So in our life, we're always being dragged around. We're always being pulled in one direction or another. We're always being in situations where we don't want to be in. Have you noticed that? Seriously, man, think about what you're going through right now, and you tell me that aligns up to exactly what you had pictured for your life. And why is it when there's positive things that try to happen in your life, there's always something that takes it down and something that makes sure that it counterbalances your happiness. And it's not for everybody. There's certain people on here. I was watching this one guy. I think it was Lord Heck Squad. I think some of you guys may watch him, but I watched Lord Heck Squad, and he was showing how he made about $30,000 in a month off of YouTube Shorts, and he was showing like how he makes all this bread or whatever. And then people were talking about him. They say they didn't believe it and this, that, and the third. So he made a video showing it and proving it or whatever. But I'm just thinking, just the fact that you can make 30 grand and you're trying to prove yourself to these people online. Bro, you made $30,000. You got to prove yourself to nobody. That's real money. 30 grand a month in 1 month. Come on, man. How many of us need $30,000 right now? What would you do with 30 grand? I know what I would do. I'd give me an apartment. I may not be able to afford a car, but I'll definitely give me an apartment though. Have a place where I have, a roof over my head. I'm not sleeping in parks. I'm not going through this. I'm not going through that. I'm not dealing with this. I'm not dealing with that. Just to have my mind at peace and my mind at ease. The fundamental and essential state of a human is tranquility, right? And I know in this chaos-filled world, that's hard to understand and believe, but when you have your moments of peace, do you feel like attacking anybody or doing anything bad or, committing any type of atrocity or anything? Do you feel like starting problems when you have your needs met, when you have a woman, when you have your belly's fed, when you have multiple sources of income that can increase your potential dating pools and overall increase your overall standing in society? You see society. See, when you're a man, right, you have to provide something. You have to provide value for your existence. You can't just be a man and exist. You have to be a man that provides something. You have to be a man that people can get benefits from. Otherwise, they feel like, what's the point of even being around you? What's the point of even befriending you? What's the point of even caring about you? That's how it is when you're a man. As a man, you're a utility. Like people treat you like a utility as a human man. They feel like men's emotional state, men's emotional turmoil. They don't really put any emphasis on that or any type of prioritization. There's no priority when it comes to men's mental health. Like, I'm surprised a lot more of us are not going crazy. I'm surprised there's not that many more ERs, right? I'm surprised because the way the world's going, it's hard to find a job. Then if you finally get a job, you got to face verbal abuse. You got to face all types of different abuse. You got to face psychological abuse. This is daily because you can't just talk back. Like if your boss yells at you, supervisor yells at you, you can't really yell back at them and go off on them if you want to keep your job. But that's why it's hard for somebody like me because it's like I'm at a point in my life, bro, where I just can't take blatant disrespect. I'm an old man now, right? I'm very old. And when you get older, youngsters, I know a lot of you people listening to me are very young, and some around my age, but when you get my age, you have a different perception and a different perspective on life. You realize what life is. Life is all about producing loose energy. Simple as that. People say, what's the point of life? Well, what's the point of suffering? You see how it kind of makes no sense, but if you know about the Gnostic text and the demiurge, how it all connects, knowing that it's done deliberately, it's done by these entities that are jealous of us because they didn't come from the divine spark. Yaldabaoth or the demiurge only came from Sophia's folly. The reason why he's so powerful and why you guys the reason why he's so powerful and why the world, not you guys, because some of you guys are not, don't believe in it, but the reason why the world, puts so much emphasis on this being is because this being has terrifying powers. This being has been known to be bloodthirsty, a merciless marauder. Remember, this God and this being is a war type of being. It loves to wage war. It loves to cause confusion. And it says, the Lord is not the author of confusion. It says the devil is the author of confusion. It's like, okay, when you say Lord, which Lord? Because the Bible declares the Lord, as this is the ultimate final God. In reality, it's the demiurge. You see how the demiurge, can have people speak for him. Now, have you ever heard the God of the Bible open up his mouth and say, I'm a holy, loving, caring God? Right? Has he ever said that? Listen, look at somebody's actions, not what they say. Somebody can say something, oh, I didn't do that, oh, I didn't do, but look at their actions. They know damn well they did it, and you judge them off their actions. Are their actions, reprehensible? If that person's actions is reprehensible, but they're saying that they're an angel, well, you put that together. You judge people on their actions, what they do. If somebody is mistreating you and they keep mistreating you, and they deliberately try to mistreat you, they deliberately go out their way to attack you. So it's late at night and somebody, let's say you're living with a toxic family member. They purposely come out the room at like 2:30 to kind of watch and see what you're doing. They kind of like stand there in the shadow. Like I've had this happen to me, man. I'm sitting there minding my business, trying not to go crazy. And you have somebody just peek around the corner in the darkness, trying to spy on you, trying to walk around. They'll walk around. They'll turn the light on, to flash it at you on purpose. They don't need the light. If you weren't there, they wouldn't have turned the light on unless they really needed it. They turned the light on because they watch your videos and they heard that you said in your videos that you don't like light in your face like that. And they purposely do stuff like that. It may seem like a small thing, right? But this person does small things for plausible deniability. They're not going to come up to your face and say they got a problem with you. They're too cowardly for that. So what they'll do is they'll play these little effeminate type games where they don't directly attack you because they still want, other people in the family to kind of support them financially. So what they will do to get you rid of you is they'll try to make your living situation hard. They're trying to get you to snap. They're trying to get you to overreact. They're trying to get you to a position so that way they can blame you and have you sent to prison or have you, self-neutralize. So they play like people around us. If you notice, they always try to do things to make us pissed, to make us angry, to make us sad, to make us mad, to make us put in a negative energetic frequency. You're going to notice that in this world, man. You don't have to you don't have to just listen to me. Look at your life. Like I only say that to people who are like doubters. People, oh well, that's just the way life is. It's like, yeah, okay, yeah, it's just random. Do you not know if this was really like life is organized chaos? It is chaos, but it's organized chaos. It's organized by a quote unquote intelligent entity. right? You may call it God. You can call it whatever you want. I call it the demiurge because this is not my God. My God will never allow me to suffer. What is the point of suffering besides producing loosh? You don't learn anything from suffering. If anything, you learn more from success. People always say, "Oh, you learn a lot from failure." All you learn from failure is how to fail. Success is the ultimate teacher. People may say, "No, that's wrong. Failure, like when you fail, not man. If you're failing, you're nowhere near anybody with success." You want to be around success because there's people that are successful but they're not smart, and there's people that are failures that are smart, you know, and you can keep on failing and failing and failing and failing and never rise. And somebody can just get success. They know they have other attributes. Maybe they have charisma. Maybe they're just attractive. Maybe they're tall. Maybe they're this. Maybe they have a combination of all of those and more. And maybe you're intelligent, but you don't have that charisma that attract people because to be a leader or to be an entrepreneur, that's successful, you have to have charisma. You have to have something that people like listening to and they come back to you and they come back and but yeah, man. So, you're gonna have very toxic people in your life, and they're gonna play little games. They're gonna try to let's say if you buy food or something like that, they're gonna try to buy a bunch of water bottles or buy a big thing of chicken or something and put it in there purposely. Now they weren't and they purposely and this person has medical issues as well, and they will still play little games like that. They'll purposely take your food and then put it the bottom or hide it somewhere or put their food on top of they do these passive aggressive games. They'll block the sink, they'll put a dirty towel in the sink, so you gotta touch a nasty towel, and it looks like there's stains of unknown sources on there. These people will do that to you. These are supposed to be your family members, but they treat you like they absolutely despise you. And then when you try to tell people, no one believes you. It's okay. So now you got to take video evidence, So now you got to take evidence. Now you got to take pictures. Now you got to do. It's ridiculous, bro. Why the fuck do certain people go through more things than others, and yet they get nothing in the end? How the fuck can you believe in a God that's a loving, caring being when this God has showed you his ass? He showed you nothing but contempt. Am I wrong? I'm either wrong or right. Either the God of this world is the true, holy, amazing God, and there's no such thing as Sophia. There's no monad. There's no pleroma, and this is it. This existence, and this is all it is. There's no other realities. There's no other dimensions. No other nothing. It's just this. Is that what life is? Just this dimension and this one God? Really? Come on. Or I'm right, and this God's not the real God, but he's an emanation. He's an abomination from the Aeon Sophia. Right? Now, what's an aeon? An aeon, picture an aeon is higher dimensional gods, and they come from the pleroma. In the pleroma, there's no such thing as, passing away and being poor, working a job you don't like. It's none of that. In the pleroma, whatever you think you can create instantaneously, you can be your own God. This being that declared itself a God, this Yaldabaoth, or whatever you want to call it, this creature, this entity, it has animosity towards us. It has animosity with a high velocity towards us. This is why our lives are so screwed up. This is why our lives are messed up. And then we see people oh, well, you should have went to school or you should have worked this job here. It's shut your mouth. You don't know me. You don't know what I had to go through, what I had to endure. Don't you tell me something when you haven't walked a day in my shoes. You ignorant fool. Don't ever try to judge me when you haven't stepped a day in my shoes, felt my pain, been inside my skin color configuration, dealing with other people's ignorance and biases, something that I have to go through. I see a lot of people of certain demographics that are able to go to Japan, they're able to go to Asia, they're able to go all these places and still get a girlfriend. Meanwhile, people like me, when we go to these different places, there's warnings about us. They always associate us with negative things and the criminal class, right? But certain people, certain demographics, everywhere they go in the world, people praise them. And you can't tell me I'm not telling the truth because we know it's the truth. There's a guy I watch, Carnal Synogen SDA. He does speed. Well, he used to do speed. He plays a lot of Resident Evil. I watch him. And he just moved to Japan because America was too expensive. But even he has a girlfriend. And he was somebody that was pretty much, basically a neat in a way. Like he pretty much makes all his money just online. He hasn't had a 9 to 5 in a long time. At least 10 years, at least. If not longer. Like he does all of his stuff online. Carnocytogen SDA. He has excellent videos for Resident Evil and stuff like that, right? So he moved to Japan. If you look at him, like in America, he couldn't find like he couldn't get those same like he couldn't find that same type of girl or that he has in Japan, in America, because America's too damn materialistic. So he goes to Japan, and I'm not saying women in different countries are not materialistic. Of course they are, but I'm saying for certain demographics, they can go to another country and there's a girl right there waiting to be their wife, because of like what their skin color configuration represents, which is beauty, which is power, which is elegance. How are you guys like this is something that's been embedded in people for at least the last 500 years, where a certain type of people are deemed as the more attractive, and the more attractive have access to a wider variable and a wider variety of women. Meanwhile, people like me, you got to be exceptional. You can't just be a regular person like me with my skin color configuration. You have to be exceptional. You have to be a rapper. You have to be a ball player. You have to be something that sticks out. It's not enough just even being rich. You can be rich and have all the money in the world, and you will find a girl that will still cheat on you. you know, right? Like you can have all the now me personally, I'd rather have all the money. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like you have all that money, but you will never find true love. You will never have a girl that really loves you. And some people, hey, that's fine. She fakes it, whatever. But if you ever get paralyzed, if you ever lose all your money, she's gonna disappear too, along with the money. That's not real love. Real love is when you get paralyzed and she still stands by your side. You know, right? Because she truly loves you. She loves your spirit. She loves your soul. She loves you. But we already know how women are nowadays. They love Chad and they love Tyrone. If they can't get Chad and Tyrone, they complain and say that there's no good men left. And we all know that to be bulldogs, But in this day and age, bro, a man is only going to be valued for what he can provide. And if you don't provide anything, you don't do anything that benefits the people around you instantaneously, then people are going to look at you like a liability. And they're going to treat you as such, and they're going to talk about you. And eventually they're going to cut you off, and eventually they're going to throw you on the streets. Eventually, man, let me tell you something. When you're a NEET, you're not in education, you're not in school, you don't have this, and you're depressed, and you're sitting in your room. There's days, because I've had bad NEET days. I had days where I was so depressed and miserable. Like I literally just went crazy, right? But when you're a NEET, you have small little freedoms, but then for you being a NEET, you have to face the ridicule of your family for not having a job. Because you don't have a job, people look at you like you're just some lazy, just lazy asshole. And that couldn't even been the truth. You could be an extremely hard worker, but your mind is out of sync. Your mind is not in the correct formation. And for your mind not to be in the correct formation, that's going to cause an annihilation of everything else. Because if your mind ain't right, your grind ain't going to be tight and your money ain't going to be right. You have to get your mind right. But how do we get our mind right? You have to find peace and you have to be happy, which means you have to leave your 9 to 5. And I don't mean quit your 9 to 5 and be broke. I mean save enough money from your 9 to 5, and you have to put it in some of your special side projects, and you have to escape the rat race. Because the moment that you escape that, you take control of your life and you got a business and you got things popping, that is when life's going to feel a lot more better. But remember, you're in a hell realm. So expect all types of, all of a sudden, the first year of your business, you forgot to pay your taxes. You had to pay the blah, blah. Now expect that. That's going to come. But you're going to have a lot less stress when you don't have to deal with people every day. When you're forced to work around people and deal with their attitudes, deal with their demons and insecurities and miseries, that's going to break you down even worse. That's why I don't understand why people who, you have NPCs and normies, right? They'll be like, get a job, right? And it's like, okay, you guys are the problem. You guys are a problem. You have no empathy. You have no compassion. And when people explain it to you, like how I'm explaining to you, like you're 2 years old, I'm talking concisely, precisely. And yet you normies, people that come upon this video that's a normie, they'll listen to me talk and be like, oh, all you gotta do is just go up to the person and shake their hand, if they're a boomer, or all you gotta do is just apply yourself. You don't think I've been doing that for the last 2 decades, right? Trying to apply myself, in different places. Like when I said I was a NEET, there's times where I tried to search for jobs or whatever, and there's times where I've got little temp jobs here and there. But what I'm saying is that some of these places, they have their own internal biases. Like the good. Like, let me tell you something. Getting the crappy jobs is one thing, but the good jobs, you need good connections to get the good jobs, especially my skin color configuration. And if they don't have any quotas to meet or whatever, being a person of my skin color configuration and trying to find a good job is almost like climbing Mount Everest on the moon. It's ridiculous. So for people like me, our best bet is create our own job, create our own, and build that up from scratch. It's going to take years. It's going to take tears. It's going to take fears. And don't expect for it to happen, not even in 5 years, not even in 7 years, not even in 10, not even in 20. I said it, not 20 years from now. You can be working on a business for 20 years and still won't make it, but you still don't give up neither. That's the reality. And also the reality is somebody can start a business in the first year, be a millionaire, and never have to worry about working again. Do you see the fluctuation of the variables? How somebody can take 20 years and never make it, and somebody can make it within a year or 3 years or 5 years or 7 years. Like, everybody has their time, which means that the demiurge blesses people differently. The demiurge hands out his quote unquote blessings, if you can call that a blessing. The demiurge the demiurge allows certain people to make it because he wants to make you. Remember, in the Bible it says, I am the Lord. I do good and I do evil. I control the light and I control the dark. I, the Lord, control both. I, the Lord, control these things. So why would a good God harden the Pharaoh's heart? Does that sound like free will to you, or does it sound like the justification for a God to do his eradication and his eliminations? That's what it sounds like to me, right? You can't possibly really think that all the things that we go through in this world is just some coincidence. It's just, oh, this is just random. Hell, I wish it was random, right? But it's too well organized and the patterns repeat themselves too much to be just random. These are not just random variables. I can guarantee you, by the end of this week, a lot of us are going to be in a deeper hell than we're in now. And it's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And it does feel like you're cursed. It does feel like there's something that's actively working against your confidence and working against your self-esteem. When's the last time you truly had real self-esteem and belief in yourself? When's the last time that you were able to be free? You were able to hear your soul speak. You were able to just be happy. I just want to be happy. I'm tired of all these rules and restrictions. I'm tired of going to this place. I'm tired of going to that place. I'm tired of having to have to find a job here. Find a job. Like, why can't I just do what I want for a living and be successful and live off that? I see thousands of people doing it. I don't do well around people anymore. I don't want to be around society like that, bro. Like, people are ignorant. They're selfish. They're, they have a hive type of mentality. They don't have no individual principles. They don't have any real morals. That people don't stand up for nothing. Back in the days, people stood for something. Nowadays, the things people stand up for is like a basketball game. They'll get into a fight and a rampage over a basketball game or something like that, or over a hockey game. Like you ever see those hockey games or those baseball games where those people are like, or those soccer games, especially those soccer games, the people are like running on the field and going crazy, and people win or lose, and it's like, you guys are putting that much effort into a game that's just there to control your mind. The reason why they have these games is to distract your mind so you won't sit there and think, how are we getting screwed over by the government and by these evil entities. So they'll give you football. Remember, in ancient Rome, it says give them bread and circuses, right? So that means give them bread, that means food so they can eat, so they can be quiet about being hungry, and then give them some spectacle so they can watch. Give them like, a circus. Give them the gladiator, the gladiator battles. Give them something like that. Make sea battles in the middle of the Colosseum. Fill the Colosseum with water, and then put ships inside there and fight on ship battles. Do whatever. Do all of that in order to distract their minds so they won't formulate plans and plots to overthrow the reigning regime that reigns supreme. That's one thing I noticed too about this life, guys. It's like it's always built to take away our attention from what really matters, right? What really matters is what happens after you pass away. All of this means nothing. Well, it means something like for preparation for it, but in the end, in 100 years from now, everything that we are, we don't even know like, I don't know, where are we going to be 100 years from now? In hell? Reincarnated again? Thrown to the gates of Tartarus or to the gates of Hades? Why would a God threaten us with such an evil? That's not my father. That's not my God. You're not my God, Yardabaoth. My God would want the best for me. My God wouldn't have somebody as cool as me, homeless, while you have people who are assholes who have a home above their head, people that actively look for trouble. They have a place where they can rest their head, but I don't. A person that doesn't bother nobody. And you want to fucking tell me about your religion? When a God can snap his motherfucking fingers and make us millionaires, but refuses to do it. But when King Solomon, his favorite, asked for it, he blessed Solomon in an instant. But he can't bless you to help you out your fucking situation when all you need is some money so you can escape your parents' house, so you can escape living with your toxic dad or your toxic brother or your toxic aunt or whoever it is. Like, this God can't bless you so you can have money. You're going to die anyway. So what does it matter to this God? You're going to pass away forever. We all are not going to live forever in this materialistic realm. We're going to take our last breath. We're going to pass away and go to the other side eventually. Eventually. It's going to happen to everybody. It happens to everybody who ever lived. Julius Caesar, Alexander the Great, Attila the Hun. You can name them, Plato, Socrates. It goes on. All of them are gone now. You can't even find their bones. Right? Well, at least publicly. Now, I'm not going to talk about, never mind. That's classified. But, yeah, man, you start to see patterns forming in this world. When you really pay close attention to it, like, you really start to see that whoever created this world really has some type of vendetta against humans. It has some type of hatred towards us. Like, it really doesn't like us. I miss the days where I can hear my grandmother playing piano, smell the food that she was cooking downstairs, and I had just got some kush, hopping in Skyrim, and I remember getting the Daedra armor. You know what I mean? I think you have to go to a certain spot in Skyrim to get the Daedra armor. I remember going to that little cave and fast traveling back and coming back, and then taking the little Daedra ingots or whatever, or making the Daedra ingots and all that. I think you need like the Daedra heart. It was something like that. I forgot the process, but I remember having I had the Daedric armor in Skyrim, like the full set, the Daedric blade, the Daedric bow, the whole Daedric armor in Skyrim. And I remember specifically going downstairs to get something to drink, to get like a Sprite or something, and my grandma playing the piano, and, she's cooking like greens, and she's making neck bones, and she's making some chicken, she's making, candy yams, mashed potatoes, and she's just like cooking, and I can smell it. I'm like, damn, I can't wait to grow up later tonight. That's my mindset. So I go back upstairs, and then like I hear my uncle who's schizophrenic. He's in there talking to himself, sometimes yelling, going crazy, and I just kind of ignore it. I just kind of go back, and I just kind of roll up some kush, take a bowl hit, continue playing Skyrim, and and stuff like that. It's like I'll never get to live those type of memories again. Like I'll never, like, I'm in a position in my life where I'll never be happy again. The only way I'll be happy unless I become a millionaire. And the God of this world is doing everything in his power to make sure I'll never become a millionaire. How can you become homeless to a millionaire without selling your soul to the devil? Do you think somebody like me can make it to be a millionaire? Just off my own merit? YouTube doesn't even promote my videos like that. That's what's crazy about me. Why I have such obsessive weirdos. It's like my channel is not even big. So what is it about me? You don't get no clout picking on a homeless black guy with nothing. What do you like? There's nothing to gain, right? But it's a spiritual thing. The demiurge is sending its agents and its minions. And these people are just demonic. These are the people that I would never talk to in real life. You think I would be around somebody like that? People stalking grown men online? I would never be around anybody like that. That's a person who I would never even look at. And that's a person who would see me in real life and wouldn't even look my way. Right? This world is always going to have evil. And we just have to deal with it. I would have never thought that my channel would actually go anywhere. It's interesting how you can go years trying to get some attention online. Then you finally get your attention and it kind of blows up in your face, based on, just based on a demiurge's behavior. There's people that deserve to be homeless and deserve to be poor and deserve to go through it. And I'm not one of those people. I just look at the world, look at my life and what I'm going through and just explain it in detail and just say, this is messed up. That's all I do. There's thousands of other people that do the same thing. So why me? The person who doesn't bother nobody. The person who I wasn't even going to make a Black Pill channel on my first one. I wasn't going to make no channel, But I started listening to Lonely Black Pillar. I started listening to Savvy Guy, DBDR. I started listening to them. And I'm like, well, shit, they're making videos and people seem to resonate with them. I was like, hell, I might as well just be, I bet people would like my stories if they go through it. Not like, but, can relate to my stories, and the life that I'm living. Because if this is the Black Pill, I'm living this shit for real, right? That was my thoughts in the beginning. Like, I just need somebody to talk to. My grandma just passed away. I'm sad and miserable. And then even before that, I had a couple of channels that I had. And some of you guys were there in the very, very beginning when I was called the Shadow Pill, when I was called the Shadow Pill Ninja, my second one, I believe, yeah, no, I was called, my first one was the Shadow Pill. And then it was Black Pill Ninja, like Ninja and Samurai, and then I started the channel that was called Black Pill Villain, and that's when, I didn't think nothing of it. I didn't think no one would listen to me, but I was wrong.